They say a man can fight the whole world and still fall at the mercy of his own children. And that's exactly how Baba found himself staring death in the face. "17 years ago, a message was sent by Getherbacks, and now, after all this time, it finally reached a young girl in the kingdom of Paya. For 2 decades, Tamakti Jun scoured every corner of the land, hunting Jerlamarel and his sighted children, but failure was a death sentence. The queen, Sibeth Kane, couldn't forgive him. She ordered him to choose his own end, but just as he prepared for his fate, the queen received Getherbacks' message, and the hunt was back on. Jun had one last chance. Capture Jerlamarel's children. Soon, the Witchfinders tracked down the Alkeni tribe. Fear spread like wildfire. Magra pulled out a secret bundle, something powerful enough to flip the entire game. Meanwhile, Getherbacks fueled the fire, whispering poison, pushing the tribe to betray Baba's family and avenge his mother's death. But Kofun snapped, tackled him, and dragged him into the wild. Bow Lion's mother made a brutal choice. She sent her daughter with Baba, knowing the fight ahead was suicide. Deep in the woods, Kofun released Getherbacks, a mistake that would cost them dearly. Moments later, the Witchfinders stormed the village. Tamakti Jun demanded the children. Bow Lion's mother stepped up, her voice steady. "We are peaceful people. There are no witches here. If there were, they left long ago." Her words were cut short by Jun's blade. He declared that the world nearly ended once because of the sighted, and this time, he would wipe their bloodline off the earth. Then came the betrayal. Getherbacks burst in, screaming, "The witches are escaping! Follow me!" Down by the river, Baba revealed a hidden boat, his own creation, inspired by Jerlamarel's childhood toys. He'd known this day would come. They set sail in silence, but the river betrayed them. The creak of wood carried across the water. Jun's ears caught it instantly. He offered a deal: surrender the children or watch the Alkeni tribe slaughtered to the last soul. No answer came. Soldiers slipped into the water. One reached the boat. Baba cut him down, but their cover was blown. Chaos erupted. The tribe's seer was killed on the spot. Arka died fighting. Magra took a brutal wound. Bow Lion, Kofun, and Haniwa battled like cornered wolves. Haniwa's arrows dropped soldier after soldier until one final shaft remained. She let it fly, straight into the traitor Getherbacks. Their boat drifted downstream, carrying the survivors into darkness. Tamakti Jun, consumed with rage, finished Bax himself and ordered the Alkeni wiped out. The news reached the queen. The witches had slipped through her grasp again, but Jun demanded more soldiers. The council revolted. 20 years, and not one witch had been found. Maybe sight was just a myth. Soldiers had been ripped from their families while cities grew vulnerable to lions and bears in the forests. The hunt had drained the treasury, broken morale. Whispers spread among the people. The queen's obsession wasn't survival, it was personal. Sibeth Kane loved Jerlamarel. He had betrayed her, murdered her sister, and fled. And now she was ready to burn the world just to bring him back. Whispers began to spread. People were finally realizing the queen's hunt for witches was nothing but a cover, an excuse to keep searching for Jerlamarel. But Sibeth Kane was unshakable, her pride heavier than the weight of an entire kingdom. Meanwhile, the Witchfinders struggled to follow the river, hacking through the wilderness, while Baba and his family drifted further away into the unknown. Yet silence hung heavy over them, a silence bought with the blood of their tribe. In that quiet, Paris handed the children Jerlamarel's final message. "My beloved children, this river is only the beginning. It's the first step on your journey to me. Follow the river until you find the Lavender Road. Stay on it. It will lead you to the gathering of enlightenment. There I will build a new kingdom, one where sight will rise in a world drowned in darkness. We will spread knowledge, books, and vision to every corner of the earth. Those who can see, follow me." The letter even carried his personal seal, a symbol of promise or danger. Haniwa's eyes burned with excitement, convinced destiny was calling, but the risk was enormous. They could carve out a safe haven somewhere else, vanish, and start fresh. Jerlamarel's path meant walking into the unknown, with no clue how far the Lavender Road even stretched. Still, Haniwa insisted. "He left signs for us. We can find him." Her mother pushed back. Voices clashed, and it came down to a vote. 2 against.
Cha-cha.
3 in favor. Paris sided with the children. But why was she always in Jerlamarel's corner? The truth behind her loyalty would shake them to the core. And then there was Bow Lion. She didn't stand with Baba. She cast her lot with Kofun. After losing everyone she ever knew, retreat wasn't an option anymore. For her, there was no turning back, only forward, into the fire. In the kingdom of Paya, betrayal was brewing inside the queen's very own council. Behind closed doors, the elite plotted her death, disguised as an accident, using a venomous insect hidden in a cage they claimed carried a songbird with the sweetest voice. But Sibeth Kane was no fool. Her spy had already fed her every detail. The moment the cage was brought before her, she struck first, executing the traitor on the spot and cutting down 2 council members without hesitation. News of the slaughter spread like wildfire, igniting a full-blown rebellion. The council turned against her, and worse, the entire kingdom rose with them. Within hours, mobs crashed against the palace gates, guards barely holding the line as the queen's world collapsed. Terrified, Sibeth made the fatal mistake that sealed her fate. In a desperate attempt to save herself, she shut down the dam's flow and fled, but the centuries-old structure couldn't take the pressure. The dam burst, drowning the capital in a catastrophic flood that wiped out everything in its path. Elsewhere, Magra burned with fever from her wounds. The group found refuge in a quiet place for the night, but when dawn broke, Baba Voss discovered his weapons were gone. Haniwa's bow and arrows, missing. Magra's hidden satchel vanished. Unarmed, they were vulnerable, but Magra refused to leave without that satchel, protecting its secret even from Baba. The truth was buried too deep, and whatever she carried was worth more to her than life itself. Then, Kofun spotted a nearby hideout, and suspicion pointed straight at the thief. They stormed the place, but it was a trap. The thief struck first, knocking Haniwa unconscious in seconds. Her scream brought Baba and Kofun charging in, only to be met with a brutal onslaught. And the impossible. He could see. Baba fought with ferocity, nearly tearing the boy apart until Haniwa noticed the mark burned across his chest. This wasn't just any thief. It was Boots, the son of Jorlamarel. 18 years ago, when Jorlamarel abandoned Magra in the Alkeni, he found shelter in the icy wilderness with the Opayol tribe, and from that union, Boots was born. But when the tribe discovered his gift of sight, they exploited him, forcing him into a life of theft and crime. That's all he'd ever known. He returned the stolen goods, but Haniwa demanded they take him along. Baba resisted. He trusted no one, especially not the Opayol, a nomadic clan infamous for raiding and bloodshed. Yet sometimes the fiercest warrior loses not to his enemies, but to his children. Reluctantly, Baba agreed, though their journey was stalled. The tide had gone out, stranding their heavy boat on dry sand. Until the waters rose again, they had no choice but to wait. Meanwhile, Sibeth Kane was on the run, deep in hostile territory. As she rested with her dwindling entourage, shadows closed in. Her driver was slaughtered, her maid gone. Danger seeped into the air. The queen gripped a blade, eyes darting through the dark. But before she could act, they had her. Sibeth Kane, the once untouchable ruler, was dragged away into the night. On the road, the cunning queen tried every trick in the book to seduce and manipulate her captors, but the game ended when she was thrown into a brutal silk factory, ruled by a man with no mercy. When Sibeth Kane raised her voice in defiance, he silenced her by crushing her throat with his bare hands. Her arrogance shattered in an instant. Her soft hands, her regal tongue, her silken clothes gave away her origin. Not just any noble, but perhaps the infamous Sibeth Kane herself, the mad queen who had drowned her own city. But here, her crown meant nothing. Here, she was just another slave, and the price of escape was worse than death. They say karma always comes back around, and Sibeth was finally paying her debt. Meanwhile, Baba Voss faced his own nightmare. With the tides too low to move their boat, the witchfinders closed in from every direction, driving them into the dense wilderness. Trapped like prey, Baba fought savagely, cutting down enemy after enemy while shielding Paris and Magra. But survival had its limits, and Magra, burning with secrets she could no longer bury, disappeared into the night. When Paris realized she was gone, her cries echoed through the trees. Magra had wandered straight into the camp of Tamakti Jun. Standing before the commander, she shouted his name, daring him to recognize her voice. To him, it was the ghost of a woman long dead. But the truth revealed itself in a single sound, the chime of a hidden ring. In that moment, Tamakti Jun bowed, realizing the woman before him was none other than Princess Magra Kane, daughter of the great King Wolf Kane, and younger sister to Sibeth, the tyrant queen. For years, Magra had kept her bloodline hidden, mistrusting her sister's madness. Sibeth had executed thousands under the guise of witch hunts, and Magra knew her own children would never be safe. Now, Tamakti Jun had questions burning inside him. Was Jorlamarel's betrayal a lie? Were the children truly Magra's? Did they carry the forbidden gift of sight? Magra gave no answers, only a condition. Her people must be brought alive and unharmed. Jun agreed, sending a unit to retrieve them. But before they could reunite, chaos struck. Baba carved a trail of corpses searching for her, only to be told the unthinkable. Magra was dead. Boots, with his cursed gift of vision, swore he'd seen it himself. Magra walked willingly into the witchfinder's hands and never walked back out. Her satchel, drenched in blood, was the only proof. The weight of the truth crushed them, but grief was cut short as another Witchfinder squad descended. Haniwa burned with rage, desperate to fight, but Baba chose survival over revenge. He had to protect his children. Trusting Boots, they followed him into the shadows, only to be betrayed. Led into a cavern, they were trapped inside an iron cage, their freedom ripped away. Baba fought to break it, to tear it down, but the steel held strong. And then came the breaking point. Kofun, blinded by anger, turned on his own sister. He blamed Haniwa for everything, for dragging them toward Jirla Morel, for trusting Boots, for her stubborn hope that had cost them their mother. In that dark cage, the family fractured, grief twisting into rage, and the nightmare was only just beginning. The iron cage suddenly dropped, grinding down into the earth like some ancient elevator, 3 stories below before jolting to a stop. The door creaked open, spitting them out into a dark underworld with no way back, forcing them to hunt for another way out. Meanwhile, Sibeth Kane's life had turned into a nightmare of chains and cruelty, worked to the bone, beaten for the smallest mistake. The queen, who once ruled an empire, now reduced to a slave. But Sibeth wasn't the kind to suffer quietly. She whispered her truth to another prisoner, the legacy of King Wolfie Kane, the father who chose her younger sister, Magra, as heir. Sibeth couldn't stomach it, stealing the throne by force, crushing Magra's challenge with one decisive vote from Tamakti Jun. Magra was forced into exile, and in a venomous act of revenge, she fled with Jirla Morel, Sibeth's most trusted ally. Furious, Sibeth declared every sighted soul a witch, burning her kingdom's treasury dry in a blood-soaked hunt that never delivered her sister or her betrayer. Magra thought exposing the truth might save her people, but what Jun intended was a mystery no one could read. Back in the cavern, Baba and his group pressed deeper into the labyrinth until the sound of footsteps snapped through the dark, and then everything went black. A sweet, suffocating scent dropped them cold, and when they woke, they were locked inside a stone cell with no escape. But then, out of the shadows, a woman appeared. Baba lunged, pinning her, but instead of fear, she offered a deal. She spoke of an ancient tribe that had lived in these caverns for centuries, a people who believed anyone who entered could never return. To leave was to curse them all, so they never let anyone escape. And then she dropped the twist of the knife. She would show Baba the way out, but only if he killed the one who betrayed her, the same one who had betrayed them all, her son, Boots, the boy with sight who lured travelers into this abyss and sold them into cages. The same boy Haniwa had called family. Now, the choice was theirs, freedom at the cost of betrayal or trust in a viper that had already sunk its fangs too deep. Delia revealed the truth about Boots, a boy abandoned by Jirla Morel before he could even speak, left with nothing but his mother and a curse he never asked for. By the time he could walk, Delia discovered what no one else should have known. He could see. Word spread through the Opayol tribe like poison, and the gift became a curse. They spat on him, beat him, branded him a monster. Delia begged for his life, shielding him again and again, but mercy couldn't stop the torment. Boots grew, silent on the outside, but inside, he was a storm. Until one night, the dam finally broke. He slaughtered them all, slitting throats in their sleep, carving vengeance into every man, woman, and elder who had cursed his name. When dawn came, only 2 souls remained, Boots and Delia. But freedom turned into terror, because now he preyed on travelers, a shadow that haunted these caverns, and even his own mother wanted him gone. Haniwa accepted her deal, and they reached the ancient lift that could carry them back to the surface. But the lever was so heavy, Baba had to stay behind, holding it down with raw strength while the others rose. Midway up, the tribe discovered the escape. They swarmed Baba like wolves, blades flashing, bodies piling. But Baba was no ordinary man. He became death itself, tearing through them one by one, every strike fueled by rage. As blood drenched the cavern floor, above him, Kofun, Haniwa, and Bo Lion fought to lower the lever back down, desperate to save him. But fate twisted cruel. The rope snapped. The plan collapsed. Baba refused to surrender. With nothing but raw will, he began scaling the jagged wall, clinging to cracks of stone like a beast clawing toward the light. His children screamed guidance from above as his grip faltered, his hands slipping into the abyss. In a final desperate move, he thrust his shovel toward Kofun, who seized it, pulling with every ounce of strength until Baba crashed onto solid ground, alive. Meanwhile, in the shadows of the silk factory, the sadistic owner had uncovered a prize far more valuable than labor. He'd discovered the truth. Sibeth Kane, the mad queen of Paya, was his captive. He cut open the leather sewn into her flesh and ripped out the royal talisman buried over her heart, the sacred seal carried by every Paya ruler. With it, he could prove the unthinkable. He had the queen herself locked in his dungeon. And the terrifying part? No one in the outside world even knew this place existed. No maps, no name, no whispers of the man who ran it. Even after days of torture, Sybeth had no clue who her captors truly were. All she knew was that her crown was gone, her bloodline exposed, and her fate no longer her own. Boots was dragged before Magra, his head bowed, his fate hanging by a thread, until she recognized him. With a single word, she spared his life. But when she pressed him about Baba and the others, he lied without flinching, claiming they'd been separated in battle and never made it out. That lie bought him time, but not safety, because at that same moment, Tamakti June received a chilling message. Queen Sibeth was alive, and someone claimed to hold her captive. The proof? Her royal talisman, ripped straight from her chest, along with instructions for where the ransom should be delivered. Before June could process, Boots caught something the rest couldn't. The messengers themselves, shadows, still lurking among them, invisible to everyone else, but not to him. With his help, they were captured, and his secret spilled wide open. The boy could see. Witchfinders demanded fire and execution, but Magra shut them down, forcing the shadows to spit out Sibeth's location. Still, questions burned. Was the queen truly alive, or had they been baited into a trap? And if she was dead, who would claim the throne of Paya? Magra begged for soldiers to search for her family, but June wasn't about to risk losing her, not when she was now the rightful heir if Sibeth had fallen. Instead, he split his forces, sending a squad of 8 to track her family, while he himself dragged Magra toward the mysterious company the shadows had named. Meanwhile, Baba and his crew wandered for weeks through desolate wilds until they stumbled onto a trail of purple flowers, the secret mark of Jerlamarel. Haniwa's eyes lit up with hope, but Paris felt the sting of danger and urged another path. Haniwa refused, convinced there was no threat, until Bao Lion pressed her palm to the dirt and felt it. The earth was rigged with sound traps. Baba hurled a stone, and suddenly the hillside erupted. Arrows sliced through the air, archers hidden in the cliffs, waiting to kill. Kofun called out their positions, and Baba launched his shovel skyward, knocking one enemy from his perch. In a brutal twist, the archer's own men riddled him with arrows before he even hit the ground. His bow tumbled toward Haniwa, and Bowlion dove for it, but a shaft ripped through her leg, pinning her to the dirt. Haniwa screamed and bolted, Kofun shouting her name, the chaos freezing the ambush. And then, silence. The hidden voices asked a single question. Are you Jerlamarel's children? Haniwa and Kofun? When they answered yes, the blades lowered, and the path opened, not to freedom, but deeper into the heart of Jerlamarel's domain. Inside Jerlamarel's fortress, the rules were clear. Only his own blood could cross the threshold, but Kofun wasn't about to play by those terms. With Baolion bleeding out, he laid down his condition. If we go together. No exceptions. The message was sent back to Jerlamarel. Haniwa, though, wasn't ready to turn around. She snapped that Bowlion could get treated at another tribe, and that Paris and Baba would back her up. Baba listened in silence, the weight of years pressing on him. And then, without another word, he lifted Bowlion onto his shoulders and walked away. The man who had spent his entire life shielding his children now watched them grow into their own choices, leaving him behind. Before parting, Paris gave them one final reminder. Magra and Baba Voss were the ones who taught them everything. And if they were truly walking into Jerlamarel's new world, then they damn well better build one where both the sighted and the blind could survive together. With that, she turned back too. But in Haniwa's heart, it didn't feel like she was leaving them. It felt like they had abandoned her. Baba, on the other hand, had made up his mind. Home was wherever his children were, nowhere else. He wasn't going back. This land was where he would stay, whether Paris or Bowlion chose to follow him or not. But first, Bowlion needed saving. Meanwhile, in another corner of the empire, Boots led Tamakti June straight to the Silk Company's hideout. But Jun knew one wrong move could put the queen's life in jeopardy. So he went in alone, a shadow in the dark, striking down guards before they even knew death was upon them. Then, one soldier spotted him. In that split second, the queen's hidden play unfolded. The woman she had once confided her real identity to? A plant in her trap all along. Cutter never saw it coming. She wrapped her hands around his throat, crushed the life out of him, and every one of his men fell right after. The queen walked away untouched. Magra's return left her sister speechless, but Tamakti June wasted no time. He spoke of going back to Kanzua, unaware of the queen's betrayal. Before he could learn it from others, Magra laid it bare herself, how the people had turned against her, how she silenced them, and how Kanzua was no more. The revelation shook Jun to his core, because the witchfinders at his side had spent 20 long years apart from their families, all under her command, only to discover that she had slaughtered the very people they'd been fighting to return to. For the first time, Jun realized the mistake he'd made in choosing Sibeth as queen instead of Magra, and now that mistake demanded correction. Sibeth would either surrender the crown to her sister or pay with her life. But Sibeth Kane was never one to play fair. She'd already sunk her hooks into Boots, twisting him to her side. Still, Jun gave her a choice: throne or death. Meanwhile, deep in the forest, Baba stumbled upon the Valeas tribe, who mourned the slaughter of the Alkeni at Witchfinder hands. Even so, their seer refused to offer shelter. Desperation pushed Paris forward, her voice breaking as she pleaded that their child wouldn't last another day without help. "If you turn us away, she dies," Paris begged. For a moment, silence hung heavy, until the seer relented, granting mercy with a cruel bargain. They could leave the child, but Baba and Paris must walk away forever and never return. Heartbroken, they agreed. As they departed, Baba whispered, "We'll never forget you, Lion." He understood. His past sins had left him condemned to solitude. But Paris? He couldn't help but laugh bitterly, wondering what crime she had committed to deserve the same fate. And so they pressed on, carrying both grief and questions with them. Elsewhere, a day had passed since Haniwa and Kofun had come face to face with their real father. Jerlamarel's refuge wasn't just a hideout. It was an abandoned prison rigged with working power, light humming through the corridors. Children filled its halls, all his own, and among them stood his eldest son, tirelessly stoking the furnaces, feeding coal to keep the steam alive, powering a dream their father swore would outlast the darkened world. In that hidden refuge, Jerlamarel's teachings were more than lessons. They were survival codes, secrets of sight passed down to Kofun, who had no idea how vital they'd soon become. But as he made his way back to his quarters, the silence broke, boots echoing, armor clashing. Soldiers. Not just any soldiers, the Trivantian army itself, led by General Edo Voss, Baba Voss's estranged brother, a man who swore to deliver vengeance by seizing Baba's children. Edo had already stationed his archers around Jerlamarel's compound. They were his eyes and ears, and it was through them he learned the children were here. Jerlamarel had promised Edo the prize, but betrayed his trust, keeping his secret to himself. Now the general had come uninvited to collect what he was owed. Cornered and fearing for his own life, Jerlamarel agreed to hand over Haniwa. Kofun tried to intervene, but Uluman struck him down, and when he awoke, he was trapped in a cold stone cell. Meanwhile, Paris felt an unease deep in her bones. Kofun was in danger. She cried out, but it was too late. The Trivantians had vanished into the night with his sister. But why would Jerlamarel betray Baba Voss's daughter? The answer was darker than anyone could imagine. Across the kingdom, Queen Sibeth's hour of reckoning had come. No more time for strategy, only action. But when the moment came, it wasn't her blade that struck. It was Boots who drove his dagger into Tamakti Jun's chest, ending the general's life in a single breath. With Tamakti dead, both Sibeth and Magra now stood on the edge of ruin. His army would demand blood. Yet Sibeth was already 3 moves ahead. She stood before the soldiers and spun a tale as cold as it was brilliant. Tamakti Jun had taken his own life, honoring the ancient code of failure, a tradition so deeply rooted that no one dared question it. The troops fell silent, trapped in her web of lies, and when she declared the destruction of Kanzua Dam as nothing less than divine wrath, they believed. In one swift move, Sibeth not only saved her throne, she bound her kingdom tighter in fear and faith, turning calamity into the perfect weapon. In a dark twist of fate, Jerlamarel finally reveals to Kofun why he betrayed Haniwa. If he hadn't, Queen Sibeth's witchfinders would have slaughtered them all. To survive, he cut a deal with the kingdom of Trivantes. Their soldiers guarded his hideout, but in return, he had to obey their every demand. Kofun snaps, lunging at him with rage, spitting out the words, "You sold your own daughter." Jerlamarel quickly realizes he can't control the boy, so he orders his men to execute him. They drag Kofun outside, far from the children's ears, press a gun to his head, and in that instant, Baba storms in. Like a hurricane, he tears through the guards, unstoppable, because he won't leave until he knows who took Haniwa. Kofun rushes to kill the lights, plunging the place into darkness. But Jerlamarel had already sensed Baba's approach and hid inside the library, masking his scent among thousands of old books. When Baba fails to track him, he growls. "Why? After all these years, did you hand over your own child?" Jerlamarel steps out, defiant. "I'm fighting for the future of humanity. Sacrifices must be made." Fury ignites in Baba's chest. The two collide, fists flying. Jerlamarel beats him down with a bat, but Baba recovers, pins him to the floor, ready to rip his jaw apart, until Jerlamarel drives a knife into his leg and escapes. He grabs a gun, fires into Baba's chest, and then the power cuts. Pitch black. Jerlamarel panics. Blind in the dark, he stumbles until Baba seizes him, and in a brutal act of vengeance, he gouges out both his eyes. That's when the truth crashes down. Haniwa wasn't taken by strangers. It was Edo Voss, Baba's own brother, a ruthless Travantian general hell-bent on revenge. The question now isn't just whether Baba can rescue Haniwa, it's whether he can face a brother who's just as savage as he is. Season 2 doesn't hold back. From the very first episode, it's war, betrayal, and blood-soaked action at full throttle.